with. Okay. So, we're ready. So finally, the last group. After all the amazing presentation from you guys, let's now dive into how TSMC drives sustainability in the semiconductor. Oh, that's really what I need. Industry. Okay, it smells good. You can see the picture. That's the ideal semiconductor sustainability should contain. And about this research, we aim to explore how TSMC incorporates ESG principles into the operation and how its international business strategy shapes its sustainability path. And environmental and social initiatives will also be examined. So you might wonder why we focus on this perspective. We as a group passionate about sustainability. We think that explore more about the global leader can help us know more about how this can be an international, can shape a more sustainable future for the semiconductor sector. And here's the outline of our presentation. To briefly introduce about TSMC, it is founded in 1987 and is the world's largest dedicated semiconductor foundry. A lot of big companies like Apple, Tesla, and Nvidia rely deeply on TSMC. And it is also a core to industry like AI, EV, yes, and smartphones. So due to the massive production, there are several challenges that TSMC will face, and my teammates will also introduce deeply about what they are facing. Here, I want to specifically mention about EUV. In Chinese, that is 极紫外光, and it's the machines which are critical towards using the manufacturing process, and it is extremely energy intensive. Now, let's move on to the environmental sustainability.
So now I'll talk about how environmental sustainability was integrated in the company overall strategy. So it was really interesting to understand that environmental and sustainability were in the center of TSMC's strategy, using it as not only as a compliance exercise, but a strategic investment for more operational resilience and a longer-term competitiveness. So if we take a look at the three big numbers here, we can see that those figures are extremely huge and that the company needs extreme governance efficiency to tackle those footprints and to help to reduce them. So how they organize? They organize with three committees: the board of directors, who ensure the global governance and goals, the ESG steering committee, who is responsible for planning and goal setting, and the ESG committee, who is responsible for operational implementation. So now I'll give you an overview of what they do with resource management and circular economy. So they surely do a lot, but what we can understand here is that they are innovative in a way that, for example, for circular economy, they have created the Taichung Zero Waste Manufacturing Center, and by processing waste, they produce product value at NTD 20 million. So they show that you can create value by also putting it along with sustainability. For water, the goal is to use innovation, to use advanced membrane to transform water waste, to be able to reuse it. And for chemical management, their motto is avoid if possible, minimize if possible. So they're really truly leading the way to more chemicals sustainable management here.
So the second part, how TSMC manage carbon emissions and energy use. The first one is on greenhouse gas reduction. TSMC has set a long-term goal to achieve zero emissions by 2050. to cut emissions at the source. It used high-efficiency point-of-use scrubbers to treat F-gases, removing over 90% of specific process gas. And the second part is renewable energy use. TSMC aims to reach 60% renewable energy by 2030. So far, he has signed more than 4.4 gigawatts of green power purchase agreement, which helps reduce emissions and stabilize energy costs. And third is terms of energy efficiency. TSMC improved power usage effectiveness and lower energy consumption per chip through the EUV. And AI-based tubular optimizations. And beyond its own operation, TSMC extends sustainability across its ecosystems through advanced nodes like 3 nanometers and upcoming 2 nanometer technology. TSMC delivers higher performance while reducing overall energy demand. And TSMC also strengthens supply chain environmental management by requiring major suppliers to commit to environmental standards and disclose carbon emission data, supported by audits and incentives. In addition, new batch follow international green building standard and includes ecological restoration projects to enhance biodiversity. So TSMC's key achievement is maintain a 97% global waste recycling rate and achieve 810 gigawatt hours of annual energy saving, and it's all 12-inch fab reaching LED. And LED is leadership in energy and environmental design gold. So next part, we'll move on to social sustainability.
Hello everyone, I'm going to talk about the social sustainability part of TSMC, which I think will be very useful in case you plan to work at TSMC, so you can know all the benefits and like what are advantages you're going to get in the company. So number one, of course, they focus on people, very like safe and inclusive, and they respect rights, human rights in workplace, talent development, and they also align. Sorry for the typo. They also align with the UN sustainability goals, which you can see, like the fifth one and the 10th one. And why does TSMC focus on social sustainability? Number one, because they want to attract like people from like different countries to come and like work in their company, and also like they want to give things back to the community and not just take from the community. Okay, so here are some like very simple pointers. Number one, they're very admired employer because they have a very inclusive and diverse workplace. You'll find people from like so many different countries working in TSMC, and they have spent almost 300 billion NTD on like compensation and welfare for the employees. Global talent attraction means more foreigners come in and work, and they also have a lot of like employee development and like learning programs. Like almost like 2.5 million, we have almost 2.5 million people around the world in different like training programs for employees in TSMC. So they've got training programs like leadership development, just basic technical skills, ESG, and like human rights education. And also for when it comes to their workplace safety and being, they also have a lot of in case there's a fire or there's some like a disaster hazard, then you also have like protective equipment on site. And they also have like good medical support on site, and they also this from like 2024 they've also tried taking care of like mental health initiative because psychological well-being is really important, especially when you're working in such stressed out environment. And human rights and ethical labor practices. So every year they like sort of circulate this survey around in case you feel any kind of uncomfortable situations or things that you don't like in the things you don't like in the company. So you can just anonymously like fill up the survey, and then they look into it and try to improve the situation. They also monitor, I think, so among their suppliers, this is the best part, among the suppliers they also see if the source that they're getting their, all the components and the parts from, they'll see if they have like ethical labor practices and they are following human rights or not. Again, global inclusive workspace, and then like just inclusive in general, and also equity, not equality. And when it comes to community and social impact, how they plan to give back to the community, TSMC, they have a lot of like cultural foundations and like charity foundations. They've got education culture foundation where like, people from like disadvantaged communities, they give them back like scholarships and stuff and like different kind of workshops for them. And their charity foundation has benefited almost like 1.39 million people around like different worlds, and they've invested almost 2 billion NTD. And of course, when we talk about like good parts of the company, we also got to talk about the bad parts because it's very big, so controversies will obviously follow them back. So first of all, they're known for having very long hours of work culture and so much pressure, especially when it comes to engineers. In case you plan to work here, you're gonna like consider about this part. Also, there have been certain discriminatory allegations that I found from like some news articles. They say that in like particularly in Arizona, they told that they're only hiring people who could speak Mandarin Chinese and also if they have a Taiwanese background.
So now we know that TSMC have do a lot of efforts on its sustainability part. So here I'm going to introduce your future IP strategy, including environmental, social, industrial transformation, and innovation-driven part. So let's first talk about the environmental part. That, as we mentioned before, that many details and the set goal that TSMC need to accomplish in the 2 decade years. So here are 3 main parts that they're focusing on in the future, including the renewable energy, zero waste, and decarbonization. And here I would like to specifically mention the rooftop solar project. So the project is aimed to purchase a solar system installed on the building rooftop and encourage community to invest in and which foster the green economic. And here is one of the strategy on the environmental part. So as for the social part, that we all know that TSMC is a huge company, so they really need to make sure that their stakeholder communication is independent and transparency. So they link key ESG metrics into the top management and make sure that put the sustainability strategy into practice. And also inclusive workplace is integrated. For example, TSMC targets a 20% woman in management by 2030 years and greater female participation in engineering and semiconductors. And then we'll move on to the industrial transformation part, that when TSMC expands globally, they also integrate the green and digital elements into its design of the new plants, such as the Arizona in US. And these facilities emphasize on the green building standard and the smart energy in management. So this kind of resource management are seen as the key levers to driving the green and digital economy. So then the next one will move on to the innovation-driven part. So nowadays, many industrial integrating AI, TSMC is no exception. So it aims to become more smart and efficient by deploying AI tools to its future strategy. And it also works closely with their supplier to build innovative materials that reduce environmental impact. What?
Time's up.
Okay. So maybe Sans will make a quick conclusion for us.
Okay, so TSMC has like good parts and bad parts, and you've known all the good parts and the bad parts. I will just talk about the last thing, that they need to improve the labor concerns, improve transparency, and like the environmental footprint also needs to be improved. And also for the future, they need to use some kind of like AI-enabled efficiency to have a more sustainable global expansion. Like that is it.
Okay, if you have any questions, you ask, but we need to start packing.
We have to eat.
Yeah, also, we have egg dumping, 3 types, okay? In the middle, the square one is the vegetarian one. And we have cheese ones, we have meat ones. And for the toast, it's combines meat and toast, okay? So grab your lunch,